what are your thoughts around personal posts, posting about more personal things? Do you think it's a good idea for people to incorporate some of that, and how do you tend to see that performing?
Yeah, so I think I came from a sort of corporate background before I sort of retrained about 7 years ago in social media marketing, and I think we were always really sort of drummed into us that you didn't share about your kind of personal life at all, sort of online. It was keep it professional, and I think that's been a really big change on social media, especially on LinkedIn over the last few years. And I think you've got to sort of find a balance of that you're comfortable with. There's things, I've got young sort of children myself. They would absolutely hate it if I was like posting things about them on social media. Occasionally I might share little insights, not really photographs of them or anything like that. And I definitely wouldn't do it without their permission, because they would be really upset with me. I don't really share things about my family very much. I do share some things sometimes about my cats, because they feature quite a lot in my working day. They're often like sitting on my Mac when I really don't want them to be, or whatever's going on. But other things that, personal things that I think people can relate to. So I have shared some things that I felt comfortable sharing, that from a personal perspective, but things that I think are sort of relevant to my audience in terms of wanting to sort of get to know me a bit more, or know who I am, know a bit more about my values, and sort of what I say stand for, that type of thing. So there's been things where I've shared some stories about my sort of work in the past, and sort of becoming a parent and flexible working, things like that, that I think have resonated with people in my audience. I think I spoke to you actually before, Tony, about, I think I had one post actually that was about that flexible working that went really sort of a bit crazy and got loads of views. But I think it was because it kind of hit home with people. It didn't get me lots of extra business and didn't get me lots of new clients, but it was, a valuable post to people who may be in a similar sort of position at the time. So I don't post an awful lot about myself. I probably maybe sort of, if I look at sort of once a week, maybe once a fortnight, would post something that's a little bit more personal, and the rest is much more focused on I suppose sort of business and my sort of clients and that type of thing. But again, it depends on your business. So there are other people where it's actually really important that they share sort of more personal insights about themselves, because that is kind of what resonates with their audience, but that's what their audience are looking for. So perhaps a coach or something like that, maybe on LinkedIn, shares much more kind of like insights about them and who they are and what they represent, them buy into that. Whereas others, maybe people don't really want to know about your, personal life. So it's kind of drawing that line of where you feel comfortable, but also maybe not oversharing, because there are definitely some things that I've seen that I thought, oh, that's kind of like just pushing the boundaries a little bit. Is that okay on LinkedIn or not? And then there's been other things where it's just been maybe something really unexpected. I've seen some things where people have shared some really sort of personal things about struggles that they've gone through, which wasn't necessarily relevant to their business, but actually in the wider scheme of things is really important, because they're opening up some really important conversations with people, and they will kind of reach people that maybe they hadn't sort of touched on before, because they'll relate to that. And actually they, whether they may not become a client or customer, but they might remember that person, and they might recommend you at some point to somebody else, because they felt like you were just human, genuine, relatable. So it's kind of like it's getting that balance, really, I think.
One personal angle that I have seen work really well is sharing some of your outside interests. So for example, I've been a kids football coach for years and referee matches. And on the very odd occasion where I've posted about that, what you find is it acts like a magnet to all the people who are in your network who also do that, or who have kids who are coached, and so they really appreciate what you're doing. I've seen people sort of sharing that they're doing a cycling challenge, and that brings out of the woodwork all the cycling fans in amongst their network. So sometimes it doesn't need to be hyper personal, you know, it doesn't really going deep into your personal life, but just little insights like that, you know, or I know it was my birthday and I had this amazing bottle of wine, and that will bring out all the wine lovers. Just the occasional thing like that can really generate lots of engagement and sort of get conversations started that otherwise might not have started. So
and I think it's true. I think there was something, must have been last year, I'm sure we've got like the same wedding anniversary or something, and that you shared something, and I was like, oh, it's my wedding anniversary. Then it's like, and it's that kind of thing, isn't it, that it just makes you like remember something or someone. So exactly, those little sort of snippets of like things in your personal life can just sort of strike a chord and make somebody remember you more.
Absolutely.